Hey there folks, Felt Tips here, and this is actually a little shorter version of my Universal Expressions tutorial. If you want to see the full version that goes into all of the details about Lloyd Alvarez's Expression Universalizer script, then have a look on my Vimeo for that one that's there. This is just a quicker version for those that are interested in being able to write universal expressions. Writing universal expressions straight in consists of two parts. It consists of giving a custom name to everything that you can give a custom name to, part one, and it consists of using an index instead of a name to reference everything else. Simple as you like. Let's just give a little example or two of that. Okay, first up I'm going to apply a color control up here. Now on my pentagon here I have a tint effect which I've called Tint X. Can be called anything, can have its original name as well, because this is not going to be referred to by any expressions, but this is. So if I alt click the stopwatch and I pick whip this up here, you can see I'm referring to an effect called color control and a sub property of that called color. Okay, color control, color on the layer controller. Now, when that goes into another language version, color control will have a different name, as will color. We can actually change the color control name. I can call it, pentagon color or something like that. And as soon as I've changed the name to a custom name, you'll notice it's updated in the expression here too. Then when that gets opened into another version of After Effects, it will still have the same custom name. After Effects will only change effects where the default name is still the name that it has. Okay, now so all I need to do is change this word colour underneath as well, and then we're done. Only I can't. Well, there's a little problem. That means that when this bit here goes into another language version of After Effects, it's not going to be colour anymore, it's going to be the localised variant of colour. So that needs to be referenced by index. Now, with all of these expression slider controls, it's very easy because all of them only have one sub-property, and that means the sub-property is always 1. So whether it be a point control, a color control, a checkbox control, or a slider control, all you got to do is change whatever it says, slider, color, checkbox, whatever, to the number 1, and that will still work. And that expression is now a universal expression. It will work everywhere. Let's do it again, except this time let's do it for a slider. Again, give it a custom name, and we'll call it size, %. And I'm just going to change that to 76. Come to the scale property of pentagon, alt click the stopwatch, excuse me, pick whip the slider, change the word slider to 1. Hey presto, 76, universal expression. Very good. Let's try it with something that's not an expression control, for instance color correction tint again. Up here we do exactly the same thing. I'm going to call it pentagon tint. Like that. Let's go back to the tint effect on pentagon. Let's go to the map white 2 instead. Something a bit funny going on my screen there. Yeah. And let's pick whip that map white 2 here. Once again you can see effect, custom effects name, pentagon tint, but once again this part here is not a changeable name, and that will be changed in other language versions. So once again we need to go and put in an index number. You can count the indexes here. You got 1, 2, 3, and map white 2 is the second one. So there we go. We now change that to blue, and everything's updated. Hey presto! Now the other thing is, of course, you might sometimes want to link to transform properties. Let's just have a look at the transform properties of controller up here. And suppose that we wanted to link the position of pentagon to the position of controller. Now, with these transform properties and with various other things, of course, you can't change any of those names. That means you're going to have to refer to all of that by index. How do you know what the index of position is? Well, you could guess that's 2 because it's second from the top, but how do you know what the index of transform is? Okay, well, here's a little trick. New text layer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this text layer Show Me. Show me the index. And I'm going to come up here to a animation preset that I have saved, and I'm going to apply it. It's called Show Expression Index. expression error. I'm expecting that. What it does, it puts an expression onto the source text of this text layer. It's here. Now, in this version of this tutorial, I'm actually going to show you what this expression does. But if you want to use it, I suggest that you do a screenshot of this now. Screenshot that, select the source text here, go to animation, save animation preset, and you can save that off as your own preset and apply it wherever you want to. What does this do, and why is it not working? Well, it's not working because the first line is referring to a property that doesn't exist. It did exist when I saved it, now it doesn't. So if I highlight that second part, pick whip any property such as the position of controller, hit return, it now is working, and you can see up here it says transform position 6.2. Lovely, exactly what we wanted to see. And that's telling me that you can refer to transform position instead of using transform position by using 6.2. Very good. So what you do, you would now come down to Pentagon and into its position property. We'll pick whip position there. And there you can see where it says dot transform dot position. I'm going to just highlight the whole shebang and I'm going to go 6.2. Numbers don't change, that looks good. I'm going to move around the controller, and as you can see, it's now following it using just the index numbers 6.2. It's following it perfectly. It doesn't just work with transforms either. Let's come up here again. Let's just select this, and let's go and choose maybe, I'll tell you what, this is Z rotation. That is a transform property, but you can see Z rotation is 610. What I actually wanted to do was choose a material option from this 3D null layer. So let's just go and select all of that second line there and come down to light transmission, whatever. Material options, light transmission, that's referable to by 8.2. So for instance, we could now come in and we could change the opacity of our pentagon to the to the light transmission of our null by putting in, wait for it, get rid of the dots, 8.2. Now at 0, and you can see that if I change the light transmission to 42 or 41, we have 41 on the opacity as well, all hooked up. There you go, that's all you need to know if you've screenshotted it. For those who are interested, I'm now going to show you how this expression works. You never know, you might find it interesting. tprop is a variable, and we set the value of tprop to whichever property we select. In this instance, we've selected this composition, layer controller, material option, light transmission. And then we've set two temporary variables, tindex2 to be an empty string and tname2 to also be an empty string. Two more temporary variables. The first one is tindex, and that is set to be open bracket and then the property index of tprop. So you can see we can use this After Effects expression language keyword to access the property index of this property, light transmission. And what we're doing, we're converting that to a string and just putting brackets around it as well. The same thing with tname, except here we put open brackets. The backslash here is basically unescaping this quote mark. That means that rather than being read by a quote mark in this script, it will put a quote mark into the string. And then we're getting tprop.name. Once again, it's taking the property light transmission and it's getting its name, which is light transmission, and then it's putting a quote mark bracket after the end of it as well. Simple stuff so far. In tindex we have the index of light transmission, in tname we have the name of light transmission, or whichever property we've set tprop to be up here. Now this is what's called a Boolean flag. It's called tfail, we'll come to that in a minute, and this is a counter, I equals 1. And then we have this thing called a while loop. And what this does, it executes this piece of code again and again and again and again and again, forever and ever and ever, until not tfail. Exclamation mark tfail means not tfail. while, not tfail. Not tfail will evaluate to true, and this will keep cycling, 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 as long as the variable tfail is false. So what's happening inside this loop is that we basically try something out. We try to look at tprop, and we go property group I. On the first iteration, I will be 1, and this After Effects expression language keyword with the argument I, which will be the value 1 on the first turn round, means it's going to look up one level. If it finds a property there, then what it's going to do, it's going to set tindex2 to the index of that property, just like we did up here. And then it's going to set tindex to tindex2 plus tindex. In other words, we get bracket parent property number, bracket actual property number. It does the same thing with the name. Once again, it looks upstairs, so to speak, one level to see if there's a parent property. And in this case, of course, that is true because light transmission has the parent property material option. So what we're looking at on the first go round is the material option property. And once again, it adds the material option name before the light transmission name in the tname string. And then this increments the value of I. And we go around again. Second time round, I's been incremented, I is 2. And we try something. This time we look at T property and we go 2 levels up because I is 2. But this time, there is no property 2 levels up. There's just a layer. So, this fails at that line. And what happens when something inside a try statement fails? It goes and executes the second piece of code under catch. And the piece of code under catch just sets that flag tfail to true. It means that this piece of code has failed at a certain point. And that means that when we come to the next loop round, not tfail is going to be false. It's not going to execute this code anymore. It's going to move on to the next bit down here. And the next bit is to take tname that we've worked out, first by setting it here and then by cycling around the while loop, and we're going to add a few dots in between, and then tindex, which we've also worked out there, to it, and that's going to be put into the source text. And as you can see, here's your tname, here's your tname of the base property, here's your tname of the one property up, and here are the 2 indexes, and there you can see the dots that go in between. That's how it works, a simple little loop to be able to show you the index numbers of any property you like. And once you can do that, you are then able to write universal expressions straight into universal expression language wherever you go. How about that? There you go. Hope you enjoyed that. Let me know. There can be plenty more expression tutorials if you guys are interested. So leave me a little comment. Tell me what you think. That's it. Thanks for listening. My name's Felt Tips. See you later.